Hi everyone! Today is a special read aloud day. It is National Poetry Month and today is actually National Poetry Reading Day. So today I'm going to read you some poetry and I'm going to be posting some activities that you can do on your phone, computer, and also at home regarding poetry. Now before you get all worried and saying, I can't do poetry, I don't like poetry, let me remind you that if you like music, you automatically already like poetry and you know poetry. So music, the lyrics are actually poems. They are just accompanied with or set to instruments. So today I'm going to read you some poems that are not set to instruments, which is why it's not called singing, and you wouldn't want that to happen anyway. So I'm going to read you some poems from 3 different books, and they're all pretty short poems, just to kind of give you an idea of all of the different kinds of poetry out there. And if you're like, well, poetry has to be rhyming, it has to be a certain length, it has to have certain words, that's not the case. Poetry can be anything, anywhere, anytime. It's whatever you want it to be, which is why I love poetry so much. So the first book I'm going to read you from is called Book Joy, Word Joy. It's by Pat Mora. All the poems are by Pat Mora. And the illustrations are by Raul Colon. And I'm just going to read you a couple of poems from this book. Okay, here we go. All right, let me get my camera set up here. There we go. So this poem, the title is Books and Me. We belong together, books and me, like toast and jelly o queso y tortillas. Delicious, delicioso, like flowers and bees, birds and trees, books and me. So you'll notice that there are some rhyming words in this poem, and it's also a mixture of Spanish and English. So again, poetry can be whatever you want it to be. So that was a nice, sweet little poem. So let's go to the next one in this book. It's a little bit longer. It's called Writing Secrets. I know a secret, and it's about you. Hints for making your writing exciting and new. There's no one like you. Know that inside. Then let yourself doodle, daydream, imagine. Think of the faces, the colors, the places you've been, the pictures you carry inside, your hobbies and pets, times you were sad, favorite books, races you ran, a splash in a pool, funny surprises you, only you, carry inside. Now to begin, write your first draft and read it to you. What can you add? Play with the sounds. Try painting with words. Writers begin again and again. We have stories to share, poem and songs too. Don't be shy. With a grin, share your writing with family and friends. Imagine, create. Feel the word joy, feel the zing. When you like what you write, writers begin again and again. And we usually know more than when we begin. May what you create flip your frowns to a grin. So I love all of that wonderful advice for writing poetry. She gave you some examples of things you could write about there. And then she said, just kind of play around with it and think about it as painting with words, which is exactly what it is. When someone reads your poem, they should be able to see it in their mind as you're saying it. And of course, the first thing you write is not always going to be necessarily what you want to keep. So writers begin again and again. Okay, so those are poems from Book Joy, Word Joy. The next one, shifting gears a little bit, is from a book, I took the book cover off, called Bravo, Poems About Amazing Hispanics. These poems are by Margarita Engel, and they're illustrated by Rafael Lopez. So what I love about these poems in this book is that it's not necessarily about famous Hispanics that you might have heard of in the past. There are some Hispanics in here that you may not have heard of, but they are absolutely heroes in their own way. So I'm going to read you a couple of examples from this book. So let me get that. Look at this picture here. I love that picture. Okay. You can tell how excited I get about poetry. Okay, so this poem is about Jose Marti. He was a Cuban, He lived from 1853 to 1895. And look at that gorgeous illustration there. Okay, so let's read about Jose Marti. As a child on the island, I see injustice, so I write about freedom. But at 16, I'm arrested, and after months of hard labor in prison, I am forced to flee my homeland. In New York, I stroll through Central Park with the children of other exiles, telling stories of gentle elephants and enchanted shrimp. I say that each day is a poem. Some hours are green and peaceful. Others are red, like festivals or storms. I love teaching children how to tell their own stories. And so that's what he did with his life and why he is so special. Jose Marti. And then the other one from this book that I'm going to read to you. Let me move this sticky so it doesn't cover up her beautiful face. Oh goodness. Okay, let me just put it on the back. There we go. Fabiola Cabeza de Vaca. She was a Mexican woman. She lived from 1894 to 1991. And this poem is called A Recipe for Strength. My familia came to this land over 400 years ago. Some were brutal conquerors, but now most people are mestizo, mixed race, part Indio, neighbors, and friends. When I teach children all over New Mexico, I speak to them in Spanish, English, Tewa, and Tiwa. In my cookbooks, I keep the old recipes, making sure that new ways of cooking homegrown food are healthy. Whatever is left over can be canned and sold. When women earn our own money, we feel strong and independent. And so, you might not have heard of her in your history books or history lessons, but she was absolutely impactful in her own way. And so I'll be reading more from this book later on in the month of May. But that was Bravo, Poems About Amazing Hispanics. And then we're going to wrap it up with some goofiness, because you know I like to be a little silly. So these are some poems by Jack Prelutsky. The poem collection is called My Dog May Be a Genius. I don't quite know about that, but we'll see. Okay. Again, my sticky's in the way. Sorry about that. Here we go. I'm shopping for a dinosaur. It's this one over here. I'm shopping for a dinosaur. I'd like one small enough to fit into my backpack that's already filled with stuff. I don't want one with pointy teeth or claws of any kind. The dinosaur I'm looking for is difficult to find. I'm shopping for a dinosaur and hunting all around. So far I'm unsuccessful. It is nowhere to be found. I hear they disappeared before the year that I was born. I'm giving up on dinosaurs. I'll buy a unicorn. I think you know why I chose this poem. Okay, and another one by Jack Prelutsky is here. Okay. It is one of the weirdest poems I've ever read. It's called I Often Mow the Bathtub. I often mow the bathtub and I bathe upon the grass. I often fish for horses and I saddle up a bass. Sometimes I hammer my guitar. Sometimes I strum a knell. Sometimes I sort my breakfast while I eat the morning mail. Before I climb on water, I may swim a flight of stairs. Before I nibble basketballs, I dribble plums and pears. Although I shovel bowling pins, I also juggle dirt. And when I wear a pizza, I may also bake a shirt. I like to shine potatoes, and I like to mash my shoes. Before I read my bicycle, I like to ride the news. I've tried to ring a tiger, and I've tried to tame a bell. My days are always interesting, as you can surely tell. That is quite a mixed up life there, trying juggling dirt and wearing pizza. So I hope you enjoyed this wide range of poems, just to kind of give you an idea of all the amazing poetry that's out there. And then, of course, the poems that are already inside of you that you can start writing down. So I'll be posting some activities throughout the day that you can do. And I would love to see your results. You can post them on our social media as a response, or you can send a picture to your teacher. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.